This is my third year. I'm so grateful to be here again, talking about a very important part of an artist's career, which is being able to book events. As after you've recorded, after you've dealt with all the other stuff, how do you get booked for events? And I like the fact that ONGEA always bring panelists from all over the world who are directly involved in booking artists because they all are involved in different festivals. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let themselves introduce themselves because they know more about their brand and what it is that they stand for. So we'll do the introduction, just 1 minute long. You'll speak about your festival, and then you will get to see just a bit of it. So we'll only play just 1 minute of the video, all right?
Thank you very much. So hey guys, what's up? My name is Brian from Tandawazi. Just to give you an idea, Tandawazi is an educational festival. It's an arts education festival. It's very unique. It's the only platform in East Africa where drummers, breakdancers, dancers, capoeiristas, yogis, freerunners all come together under one banner. And the question I think you should ask yourself when you engage the Tandawazi Festival is like, okay, great, I'm a dancer, I know how to dance, but do I know much about my dance? Where do I go to learn about my dance? And likewise for drumming, capoeira, yoga, etc., etc. So it's that platform where we all come together to educate ourselves about our art forms. That's what Tandawazi is all about.
Here it is.
Tandawazi is a festival of culture with a focus on movement art and music. The Tandawazi Festival is unique because it's the only occasion in East Africa where breakdancers, salseros, capoeiristas, yogis, freerunners, drummers come together under one banner to educate themselves about their art forms and celebrate them. The Tandawazi Festival exists to preserve art. The Tandawazi Festival happens every Easter. It's nomadic. It starts in Nairobi at the Kenya National Theatre and finishes in Diani. To stay abreast of what's going on at the festival, send us an email and follow the Tandawazi Festival on Facebook and Instagram. We look forward to seeing you there.
We've got Walter Wanyanya. He's the director of Jacaranda, which is a festival in Zimbabwe. Speak about Jacaranda. It looks like so much excitement. It looks like, it's that kind of party. Walter, sorry. Walter.
Yeah.
Jacaranda, where does it get the name from?
Jacaranda gets the name from jacaranda trees. So in October, in Zimbabwe, those jacaranda trees bloom. They're in full bloom at that time of the year.
Even in Nairobi.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So that's basically where we derive the name from. So it's in Harare, Zimbabwe, first week of October every year, and it's purely a music festival.
Music festival.
Music only.
It looks like it's so much fun. I'm definitely coming down.
Come through
in October, and so. we didn't just keep it within Africa. We got panelists who have come from far and wide to ensure that we scout talent in Kenya and also learn about their festivals. I want to introduce to you Peter Astedt.
Yes.
I feel like I massacred your name right now.
Yes, you actually pronounce it pretty good.
Thank you. He's the co-founder of Live at Heart, which is a festival in Sweden. So if you've been wanting to go to Sweden, take a look at the screen.
I love you more than words can say. But when you talk to me that way, it just seems to me unfair when all I give is love and care. Oh my darling, won't you please be good to me? I've been putting all the time I have into loving you. I've been loving, but if we try to work together, darling, we'll be good as new. I love you more than words can say. But when you talk to me.
Wow, Peter.
Yes. And
Live at Heart looks lit.
That's actually, the video is kind of funny because it's from their eyes, from one of the bands that actually played last year.
Yeah.
Which now I saw today that they are announcing that they are going to Westway Lab in Portugal. They're also playing on Mid-Dem, thanks to Live at Heart, because that's what Live at Heart is about. It's discovering, and we are a gateway to a lot of other festivals around the world.
So you predominantly work with artists who are just, you know...
We only have unknown artists.
All right,
we
great.
don't have any headliners.
All right, so 2 music festivals and one that's also got other things going on, dance and drumming. But then we got Maithe Bertolini from Brazil, and she is a representative of, founder of CONTATO. Yeah. Am I saying it right? CONTATO. CONTATO. Yeah. All right, it's Portuguese, guys, don't judge me. Watch the screen.
Eu não sei qual vai ser o futuro da música, mas eu espero que ela continue se inventando. Eu gosto quando nasce uma coisa nova.
So for us, music is at the center of all human activity, and this is not just something we are saying, it has become our experience. We have a global community of over 5,000 innovators. All of them are attracted by music as inspiration.
So I'm really here to talk about all of those different things and hopefully inspire people to understand that music is not just about making money, selling records, selling concerts, but actually it has a significant impact in other aspects of the world as well.
A gente acompanha assim desde o comecinho, né? E a gente vê um absurdo de crescimento da própria feira e também um crescimento de toda a movimentação que fica ao redor dela, que é de shows, que é de integração, que é da galera vindo de todos os lugares.
Aqui na CIM está acontecendo conexões incríveis. Então, para mim, é essa relevância, sabe? De poder conectar com pessoas que estão fazendo festivais, estão fazendo shows, que têm casas de evento, que produzem artistas, gente da cena.
É muito bom você estar num lugar tocando para todos os produtores do Brasil e de fora do Brasil. Então isso gera uma coisa muito bacana para a banda. Então a nossa animação para esse ano foi diferente mesmo, porque ano passado a gente realmente fez contatos que renderam shows na Europa, festivais na Austrália e coisas muito legais assim, porque eu vou cantar, né, fazer um showcase. Além disso eu fiz uma palestra muito boa ontem, foi bem legal.
All right, and that is CONTATO. Which is
this is SIM.
SIM.
Yeah, the International Music Week.
But you're the founder of CONTATO.
Yeah.
All right.
I work with these 2 festivals. CONTATO happens in São Carlos. It's a city nearby São Paulo, and it's a 10 years old festival that gathers music, cinema, new media, arts, and environmental issues. And it's an open air festival, and everything is for free.
All right.
And this one scene is from São Paulo. It's International Music Week. It's a convention, and it's the biggest convention, music convention in Latin America. So it's a very important place if you want to make business related to music.
All right.
Yeah.
Now that we know our panelists, let's get right into it. I know that there's a lot of artists here who've got a lot of questions. I'm going to start with the first question. I'm going to start with Peter. When you're looking at Live Heart in Sweden, and you're planning that lineup, do you now start saying, oh my God, let's go to Kenya and look for talent? Or are the talents like reaching out to you?
It's both of. Our team is going to approximately 70 festivals around the globe to look for talents. We have also exchange programs with other festivals where we bring in their artists, they bring in our artists and stuff like that. Then we have a team of, I think it's 15 people right now, that scouts all media to find new artists. And then you can apply. We have around 5,000 artists that applies to our festival every year.
So you actually have connections, networks with other festivals.
Yes.
Where if you've performed at this festival and you were good, chances are you will perform at Live Heart. Or we will see you at Live Heart.
Yeah. It's like we have, for example, a program with Summerfest, which is the largest festival in the world with 1 million visitors. Happens in Milwaukee in July. And they come to Live at Heart, and we have an agreement that they at least will pick 5 from the lineup this year. They picked 22 bands.
Wow.
22 bands they are totally unknown from around the world, will go. And maybe last year the bands opened up for Kesha, Red Hot Chili Peppers, which is a great opportunity for them to go. But we also we own a couple of other festivals as well. We have Live at Heart Canada, we have Live at Heart New Orleans, we have some of work with India around Mojo Rising. We work with GMA festivals in Taiwan, which has 5.1 billion viewers. There's around 45 festivals on the ground at all time to look for new talents. And there's a mixture between showcase festivals and normal festivals.
All right. So basically, and I'm sure this goes around, everyone, when you're setting up your festival, talent scouting is very important. I'm going to ask Walter, with Jacaranda, because I'm sure all festivals have different themes. And as much as it's Jacaranda Festival, there must be, every year, there's a different theme. Does that then, decide the kind of artists that will be on the lineup, or is it just any talent, there's no theme, it's just you have to apply the way it is?
Well, it depends. For us, it's not really about the theme for that year that determines who gets to play. It's more to do who is fit to play than a theme that we have for that particular year. So I think it's a lot to do with what we're wanting to do as a festival. There's slots that we have to expose new talent, like what Peter has, and then we have a slot where we know that this slot is going to be either it's going to be prime time, so that's where you're going to have the bigger acts that are already big out there and the kind of thing. So there's really no set thing that say, okay, because we're running with this theme, we're going to choose this kind of artist.
For an upcoming talent or a talent in Kenya and they want to come to Zimbabwe for Jacaranda, there might not be an audience in Zimbabwe that knows them. Do they then come in, maybe they're established in Kenya, but when they're coming in Zimbabwe, are they coming in as an opening act or?
Not really, no. What we'll do is, for us, obviously that's why we're here at ONGEA. We can be able to see where we can slot an artist. So from your application and from the information that you give us, we'll know exactly where you fit in within the lineup and what time you're going to perform and that kind of thing. Because we will also ask you certain questions, and we usually don't book anyone that we haven't seen perform live or that one of our teams hasn't performed live. So that's why most of us will travel different festivals at different places, because what's written on a piece of paper and what you will see on stage are two totally different things. So most of the times we will know exactly way you can fit into the lineup or into the program. Yeah.
Brian, everybody else is talking about, I'm coming into Kenya to look for talent. You're here, and you're not only working with, are there any singers, by the way, at your platform?
Sometimes.
Because you have to get entertained at some point.
Yeah, so mine's a little different, What I'd say is that, at Tandawazi, it started out of the nucleus of sort of capoeira, and then it grew into this whole thing of drumming, yoga, etc. So what's quite interesting about it is that I will engage the breakdance community, and they will tell me who is the right fit. So we have the same model where it's more about does that person fit in with the values of the festival, as opposed to they fit in with a theme per se, you know?
And that, the theme and the values are, maybe it was wrong choice of words, but which brings me to the question I was asking Walter, because yours is, you've got the dance, you've got this and the other. At the end of the day, you want to connect all these things together.
Absolutely.
It might be, is there one artist who has studied your brand and sees, okay, I'm gonna fit, I'm the right fit for this, or there's one who actually is established, they've got the, they're fit enough to be at your festival, but you're like, doesn't really go with the values of my festival.
Yes, that's happened. We've actually, I remember this one time, it was in 2011, we had an artist who was recommended. They said, I think I'd met this artist as well. And then it was really crazy because we got to email number 30, and I said, look, a lot of what we do is social. There are girls from Kiamaiko in Huruma who you're going to be teaching salsa to, and then you're going to get on stage and perform with them, and it's going to be like a 3-minute thing, whatever. And she's like, I might do 10 seconds or something like this, or I might do just a quick cameo. And I was like, hang on a second. And then very quickly, I said to that person, you can't come here. You can't come to Kenya if you're not prepared to stand up on a stage with the people who this festival benefits. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to ask Maithe, when you're seated on this panel, the board, the advisory board of SIM, and you're selecting the talent, that's coming, is Africa top of mind?
I guess this year will be. We also have an application process for the bands to be part of the showcases during SIM. Last year we have 2,500 subscriptions in this process from 22 different countries from all around the world.
These are people submitting to perform?
To perform at SIM. So I guess in these 6 years we never had a band from Africa. Yeah, but it's totally open to happen. But I know that it's very difficult for a band from here goes to Brazil to do a showcase, just one showcase. So the same thing for a band from Brazil comes to any country of Africa to do just one concert.
But we're talking about the networks.
So that's what we look for when we are looking for the submissions. This band has connections. This band is prepared to go to Brazil and make things happen once she is there, the band is there. Because if this band is not prepared, then it's not going to work for them. It's going to be an investment that has no return.
And what if, because we have a lot of talent here in Kenya, like so much, and they're ready to come, do a show in Brazil, do a show in Sweden. And I feel like maybe the challenge would be, is language in any way a barrier?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah? So then why is it so hard to get, I don't know, Peter, you tell me, in Live at Heart, do you have African bands?
We had from South Africa, we had from Senegal last year. We have from, last year we were 42 countries. So no language, and we had the rapper from China rapping in Mandarin, so that's never a problem. The language barrier is not the problem. It's usually, the problem is to get the spot because there's so much talent out there. That's like, if it's a lot of Kenyan artists, there's probably a lot from Nigeria, there's a lot from Uganda, there's a lot of them. And the hard part is to find the right, what we're looking for is more or less like the artist that can take them a step, like I said with the video, that's a Canadian band that now is booked to 4 other festivals. Of course, that gives a shine to Live at Heart that we have helped them, also part of the whole thing. So we love to have we're looking for hardworking artists that actually do the job. When we get them the chance, like, okay, you're gonna go to Sweden, they actually take it seriously and network, and there's like a week of work for them, going around, networking with professionals, meeting audiences, hook up with other artists, make the connections. And that is not an easy job. It's not that you go in and just play one showcase of 40 minutes on Live at Heart. You actually play around 4 to 5. And it's the hard work that's going to prove. And actually, one of the things that we see, when it's much easier if we pick Swedish artists. They take it lightly. They're like, okay, we only go to Örebro, it's like 2 hours with car. If you come from another country like Kenya, and like, okay, I'm flying out there, it's gonna take me 8 hours of flight, they take it more seriously. They are hardworking. So most of the bands that we sing, that's why we have less Swedish bands. We have 150 international bands and only 100 Swedish. And we pick the ones that are really hardworking. That's what we're after. That's the one who networks. So then come up to me and say, hey, I really want to go to your festival. I looked into your festival. I know your stages. I would fit so well on this stage. That's an artist that I can actually pick, even I've seen them.
There's a lot of seriousness that is required. And I would just like, first of all, to thank ONGEA for making sure that we are here. So I would say, from my end, as much as I'm African, I'm representing a gateway for Kenyans to get to Southern Africa. So I'm based in Zimbabwe, but I work with people in Zambia, people in Malawi, South Africa, Botswana, and everywhere there. Other festivals, directors, like my colleagues here. And what ONGEA has done is, instead of sending a band, like what she's saying, a band from Brazil to come and showcase in Kenya, it's expensive. So you have to fly 10 people that are going to come and do a showcase like the ones that are going to happen this evening, which a showcase is going to be maybe 15, 20 minutes. So how do you fly a band from Brazil to showcase here so that he can see them and book them for Kenya? It's a lot of money. So what a lot of people are doing, and what ONGEA has done, is instead of flying a band, they've brought her. She's basically representing Brazil. And he's representing Europe. I'm representing Southern Africa. So if you network with him, he can, like they said, they've got at least 40 to 50 festivals that are linked to his festival. She's probably got 20. I probably have maybe 15 or 20 as well. So what happens is now, and I want to use an example that's practical, which is what's happened in the last 4 days. Personally for me, we've been here every night, and there's been showcases every night. So for Kenyan artists who know that there's at least a link of 250 festivals between the four of us, I've only met 2 bands that have made an effort to look for me, to introduce themselves, and tell them about themselves. Just 2. And every night there's at least, how many? 6 to 8 performing. It means that Kenyan artists are not serious. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you're coming here and you know that ONGEA has done a lot of work, they've paid a lot of money, for us to be here, you need to take advantage of it. Find out who he is and who she is. Before a performance, before a showcase, come and introduce yourself and say, hey, my name is George, I'm going to perform, that's our band, this is who we are, this is our CD, and my details, if you want to contact me, we're going to just kill it right now.
I only received an email from one band before the concert.
You see?
Yeah, and so far it's the best one that I saw performing.
Exactly, and it's the same band.
Yeah.
It's that one band. And that same band just performed somewhere else, outside of Kenya.
Yeah.
So you understand that you've got a whole lot of artists, but you've got one band that's outstanding.
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I told you, I've been hosting this is the 3rd year in a row, and every single panelist who's come here from different parts of the world says the same thing, that I've been sitting here 5 days in a row, 4 days in a row, and there's maybe 2-4 artists who've reached out to me.
But I think that's part of the process here, because the country is growing, and what I'm seeing when we have our festival with Swedish bands, they have managers. This is the manager's job, and this artist here doesn't have proper managers yet, but just seeing that you're growing quite well. And this is the professional side talking. I mean, you have a great raw talent that is very, very good, but they don't have the professional people around them. But what you also should see is that there's a lot of international professional people that might take this talent, because the talent is worth, that's a product, that's a good product, and working for them. So that's probably your problem, is that, yeah, you need to raise the industry level and getting people working around the artists, the team we're talking about. Because we also see that, yeah, the ones who succeed the most on our festivals is the one who has the team. Because you can only do 24 hours by yourself, but if you're free, then you have more hours.
And I think the one band that we're referring to as well, the drummer, is the kind of guy that's possibly doing like the management side of things. So the other question then would be, okay, you've got a young band, they can't afford a manager. So, you know, they're talented, but can they afford to have somebody who's managing them and then who, you know, who they're gonna need to pay as well? So as much as I know, because I work with creatives, I know what it's like to be a creative, to be a band, and then try and do admin, try and, you know, network, and it's difficult. So, but it's important that you as a band require that, okay, we do not have the resources for us to be able to employ a manager or to have somebody that works with us. But the one thing that you just need to learn is just to be able to just say, hey, how are you? This is who we are. It's not that difficult. Until, you know, you get to a point where you may need to get a manager, an agent, a road manager, and then. But before that happens, there's a certain requirement that I think as a band or as an artist, you need to be able to know what it's like to be able to just do that one step. And that one step is what's going to lead you to be able to get booked or to perform at whatever stages that you want.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that, because when we started this session, the first thing I said was, you know, after you've done the recording, after you've, you know, done the branding, or, you know, you have the product out, the next thing you need to be thinking about is where you're going to be performing. And we have, you know, we barely have enough platforms, you know, with locally. You need to also look at expanding outward. And forget the ones who don't have the team and the management. Let's talk about the ones who are actually registering. The number you spoke about was large. You said 22,000 artists from all over the world. So are there tips you can be able to give me and the artists who are sitting here on what will make, because let's be real, there's some emails you just open, or, you know, the submissions you just open, and immediately it's off-putting, and you're not, because you have, you know, tons and tons of things to go through, you're like, this one already is disqualified, maybe it's not well arranged, it's not well communicated. What are those tips?
We developed a platform so we can have all the submissions and organize them. First of all, the band need to have a profile on Spotify, Deezer, or any other streaming channel with a good quality music uploaded. They need to have at least 2 videos on YouTube, one of them performing live. And if the band don't have this video, we, at the moment, we take them off the game, because we can see how they are performing live, and it's very important to us. Because maybe, like you said, you can have a good record, but you don't perform well live, so you are out. We need to know, where have you played before? Like, did you play in some venues, other festivals? Have you ever been in a music convention? What are your connections in the business of music? So those are the things that we look for, and of course the quality, the technical quality also. And the ability for new business is also evaluated. And one thing that is very important for us is that we check for the crew of the band. Like, they have a booker, they have a manager, they have a label, they have a publisher, how they are related to music business. So this way we can evaluate all of this and then get to the 30 bands that are going to play during scene.
But you're talking about established artists. Peter, you're working with, you know.
Yeah, we are not so much about if you have a manager, if you're a record label or anything like that, because part of our job is actually to connect those people. We are like the starting point. More or less, when you get to our festivals, we hope that Sim can be there and watch you and actually take you on to the next step. So we are a little bit easier to that, but I still it's the same thing. We need the live videos because the recorded could be anything, and that is one of the things that goes off first. Well, another thing, we are 15 people working in the booking section, so we look for but what we're seeing the most is actually the bands that, if we see an interest, like if we like this band and we noticed also they are interested in us, when there can be easy things like just like, hey, I went on your website, I saw this stage that was really great, I should fit in there, or something like that, is actually making the booking team tick. Because that means that you have been into it's not that you just, many of the bands are throwing in, even big bands from Europe, they just throw in an application. They don't even, some answers we get is totally ridiculous. Like the answer back, like, when is your festival? It's like,
I know.
you have applied for it. When is your festival? Where is it? And is that in Norway? And you're like, okay, this band is not serious enough. And then at least we have even seen them. So a band that knows where it is, which date it is, and they can tell us like, okay, we are very close to another big festival called Reeperbahn in Germany. So many of the bands are like, okay, we have applied for Reeperbahn and we probably gonna go to Germany anyway, and we will add your festival into this thing that we're gonna do. Yeah. That's where our booking team is like, okay, let's go and check this one much harder out. And then they go into YouTube, check out the live videos, check out the numbers. And in our case, yes, you need to be on YouTube and Spotify. Spotify is because it's Sweden and 99% of the Swedish people will be on Spotify. So everything will be built around Spotify.
All right, so it's interesting that you mentioned that because we had a representative from Reeperbahn last year who also mentioned almost a similar thing what you just said. It depends on just how, if I'm connected to more of your network, then I'm considering you. But if you are asking questions, I hope you guys are listening. Don't be asking the person who you're, the event that you're trying, because I also receive similar. Someone says, yo man, I hear you have an event. And I'm like, yeah. So what is it about? I'm like, this is, no. If you want the slot, you should already know what you're asking for. So what I'm listening here, Brian, is, look, you have to have performed somewhere. You have to have a video you've performed somewhere. But the challenge is, we're having artists who you tell them, who don't understand the value of creating that background, of performance, because there's someone who's looking at them from Jacaranda, there's someone who's looking at them from Live at Heart. They want to go to SIM, but they don't have a festival where they've performed locally. How important is that to you to book local talent onto Tandawazi?
I think it's the most important thing. Like, it's amazing to have like an international artist, but if I was to stick to the values of the festival is about the young faces in the crowd here. It's about building that person so that they can then be connected to a festival like this, or festival like these rather, And I just, like, when listening to all of that, I'm disappointed but not surprised at the fact that one or maybe two bands have come to see you. But I'm just starting to think now, and this might come across as a bit of a question actually, is you know how before a lawyer becomes a lawyer, they sort of have to go to the bar. Before you start driving a car, you have to sort of go to that school and get a driving license. Is there a body in Kenya, or is there a procedure that engages young artists, be they dancers, be they drummers, musicians, etc., that says, okay guys, well listen, well done, we've seen that you have now registered yourselves as an artist. In order for you to get connected to even the Koroga Festival or Blankets and Wine, you have to have these three things, which are the same three things that these guys are looking for. Does that exist even?
It's so interesting that you ask me, because that's what we do at Industry Night. For the past 5 years, we work with artists, prepare them. Because we realized, I'm sure some of you we've interacted, Industry Night. We realized that, look, this is the third year I'm sitting here. And the first year, Mike invited me and he was like, yo, you need to host this. And to be honest, I really didn't know anything about festivals. I'm not a musician. My plan wasn't to be involved in this. But then, because he was seeing the work I was doing with artists, and he was like, you need to be on this. And 2 years in a row, I learned so much. I'm also coming here to learn because this information I'm sharing with artists. But then it gets so disappointing when, I'm the one, following the artist. You understand what I mean? So that's why he's saying he also is not surprised. But then also, so what we're doing is preparing artists. So if you're sitting in the audience and you're looking where to start, you can start with Industry Night. But you can also start with Tandawazi, because he's working with dancers and other performing arts?
Absolutely, yes. That's exactly we're working with the young people who don't have a connection to you. Even. Yeah, forget about super breakdancer from God knows where. They don't even have a connection to you. So we try and open that door locally to that sort of big local exposure and then to international exposure. I think that's what we're trying to do. And I think that just going back to that subject, it's really important because there's a deeper thing that I've come to learn engaging the festival and artists and whatnot, and I think it's an Africa-wide sort of epidemic, is that we come from these educational and religious systems that A, don't belong here, first of all, and second of all, have taught us that if you don't memorize this thing, you're useless, you're nothing. And so if you spent so much of your formative years doing that, and there's been very little focus on art. Who are you? Basically, because I think art answers that question. It answers about, your spirit. It's very hard for that band to even know to read the program to come and speak to these three people. So I think locally we need to combat that thing here so that the next time we have a panel like this, they'll have 50 applications and not 2.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to just add on to what my colleague said earlier on, and I think they mentioned the one thing that is very crucial, which is having a video of a live performance. So I think it's these days a lot of artists make music videos to put on MTV or Trace or whatever, but those videos don't show your live performance. So if you send me a video that you made for MTV Base, it doesn't apply to me. Because it's got all these girls that are dancing and, wearing bikinis, and it's not your live performance. It doesn't show me what you will do when I put you on my stage. So with that said, I would also advise and say that, if you've got a hot song that is on MTV based, that has that music video, it's also good for you to be able to record a live performance of that particular song if you think that is your best foot forward, if in submitting. Then again, we come back again, and you've been given this opportunity here to showcase. There's cameras, there's good sound, there's a good stage, and I think a lot of the artists are also not taking advantage of that very fact, that maybe sometimes in Kenya you're not being booked to perform at gigs where you've got the same kind of tech rider, but this conference has got that platform where you're being put on a nice stage with everything that you would need for you to be able to record a good live performance. So most of these young guys also need to take advantage of what ONGEA is doing again. I want to recommend, just thumbs up to them, that this is also an opportunity for you to be able to present to these festivals, but at the same time, if you don't have the resources for you to be able to set up sound like this, and then maybe make a plan and speak to Mike and speak to whoever so that they record you as well while you're performing, so that you can use that same footage to be able to apply to other festivals, so that it's not just us that can see you now. Now you've got this footage, and then you can also send that footage to the other festivals. So it's very, very key. Remember, when you come in to play at a festival, it's a live performance. It's not your music video. So it's a totally different world altogether. So that is very, very, very key. Because if she can go and say to her friend who runs a big festival in America and say, I saw this act in Kenya, and and she doesn't have a video to show, then it's hard for her to vouch for you, to convince and say that this act was good. But then if you do have a live performance and you performed here, there's no excuse why you don't have a video for a live performance. When ONGEA is giving you the platform.
Peter, I want to throw this one to you because I know the answer to this, but I just want to hear what you guys have to say about this. So you mentioned that there was a rapper at Live at Heart last year, was it? Who was from China?
Yes.
The Chinese rapper. Yeah. So Kenya is, we got a lot of rappers. Like, this is the home of rap. Like, everybody on the corner is rapping. And when, most rappers, pop artists don't really consider festivals their space. They usually think it's, the band, the boy bands and the, and the groups. Would you book an artist who doesn't have a band set up?
Yeah, the thing is, the only thing we don't book at Live at Heart is DJs. It's pure DJ sets. We have one DJ set, that's for the after party. That's the only time. But the rest of it, yes, the Chinese rapper came. There was just 2 rappers more or less with backtracks because that's what they can fly in. And so rap music, and what we're doing with the rap music is also it's very popular in Sweden. So we set them up with other Swedish rappers to write songs and stuff. Nice. There's a whole community, a whole thing that's like a little part inside Live at Heart. So rap music is yes big, but also going back to recording videos, live videos. Maybe you saw there was a Swedish artist last night. And I filmed that with my camera, not with this camera. And my camera is kind of crappy, but it's still we film every show we do and put it onto YouTube. And some artists ask, why do you do this? And that's because every time you search for that name, if you get up a lot of live videos, it's a better chance for a festival to book you.
Yeah, and you can imagine, I can imagine it's the same thing at Jacaranda?
Yes. Personally, like I said to you earlier on, I'm not a hip-hop head.
Yeah.
But hip-hop is big as well in Southern Africa. But
hip-hop is big everywhere.
Yeah, hip-hop is big everywhere. So my recommendation for a hip-hop artist is, I don't know if anybody has watched Casper perform.
Yeah.
AKA. Yeah. I was going to mention some Zimbabwean ones, but you may not know them. What they do is, you've got a track. And I think I was watching before this panel, when I was still at the hotel, the young man that did the introduction, wearing a yellow t-shirt. Yes. He mentioned something really, really, really crucial. And I was watching the thing on YouTube this morning. Yeah. And he said that to guys, when you're getting your tracks after you record with your producer, get 4 different versions of that song. So, and he mentioned the 4 different versions. One of the versions is for live performances. So the live performance track is stripped of the things that you don't need for a live performance, and it has only what you need. So if there's backing vocals, for instance, and you want to come to Zimbabwe, but you don't want to take the 3 backing vocalists that are on your track, then that track has the backing vocalist, and then you can take a bass guitarist or guitarist and a drummer. Yeah. Those guys are not going to play hectic stuff. They will just play what's needed for hip hop. Yeah. And now it means now you almost have an element of a live performance. You know, and I would encourage them to have that kind of thing where your track is designed for a live performance, and then you add 1 or 2 instruments on your stage.
I want to just roll back to what Peter said. He's like, all right, look, we have even rappers who come through, and we connect them to Swedish artists to do collaborations. Is that a way to get the artist into that market?
Yes, that's the main point. I said on radio earlier this week that yes, I'm here to spy on your music community, and that's the truth. We are right now. We see because of the streaming. The streaming is big in Europe, but with streaming you need numbers, and with numbers you have to reach areas with a large population. Yeah. So right now the main targets is Asia, China, India, Africa, and South America. So that's going to change this industry for Europe, which has always looked on America. That's where we have broken artists. Nowadays, a stream is a stream. Doesn't matter if it comes from Nairobi, if it comes from Helsinki, or if it comes to Stockholm. Doesn't matter. Suddenly, we have to change the things. So what we're seeing right now is that we have international tracks that goes all around the world. That's an international hit song. But that changes over the time. So we get, flares from different other communities. So what we want to do is more or less connecting and doing an international song, and then we can have a guest rapper from Kenya, which already happened yesterday. We got that offer, and that's probably going to happen, and that song is going to be done by a producer and rapper in UK, one in Sweden and one in Kenya. Wow. And that song's, of course, then it's going to be tried out in Kenya on radio here, in UK and in Sweden. Maybe it grabs some traction somewhere. And to do this, these showcase festivals or festivals is the best place
to do this.
because I can't force an artist to be like, oh, you're going to work with that one or that one.
Yeah.
It has to be chemistry. They have to meet each other and say, oh, I really like what you do. Can we do it together?
So how do you spot this artist? Because that's what I'm trying to will back to. Is this artist has reached out to you? So, like, if that collaboration was to happen, because today is the last day of the summit, so there's an artist in here who's missed their opportunity.
This was one of the performers that we saw that, and my artist said, I really like that artist. And we said, okay, let's go up and ask him. That's what it is.
Nice. All right, so...
And I think the other thing that what guys need to realize is, I think the three of us, I'm not sure about my brother, the three of us are artist managers as well, on top of, running festivals.
Yeah.
So I am managing Oliver Mtukudzi, who passed away last month. And he manages an artist that we've been with here, and she's got a whole bunch of artists that she manages. So at the end of the day, we also have links to artists, not just festivals. So when you're looking for collaborations, when you deal with festivals, it's also a link to collaborate with artists. So and to answer your hip hop question, if hip hop artists are saying festivals are not our thing, it means you're losing a lot.
Yeah.
Then it means that you're losing out on performing to a different crowd, to a brand new crowd, to new markets. You're also losing a link to connections with other artists that you may be able to perform with and develop relationships with.
And you have to take the chance. And that's what I did here. As soon as I got invited here, I was more or less calling them back, say, hey, can I get a Swedish artist here? And they were like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. And we sent up a Swedish artist, and as soon as I got that cleared, I called them back and say, hey, do you know any good producers or anything you can introduce me to that are good in your area? And they have been really nice to us, and the first thing they did was like, okay, this is a producer you should look into, and that hit off. So already they have helped the local scene, but it's those steps that you have to take, like taking that extra mile to make that extra email to send to someone that when you get the opportunity, maximize the opportunity. It's not easy to get the opportunity, so you should be lucky just to do that.
Before I get to Brian, I just want to ask Maithe, because this is, I just want to break these barriers, and so that next year, there's an artist who's sitting in here and they're targeting how to get into Sao Paulo for Africa, because this is one of the largest markets, for music, and most of the sounds in Brazil are originally from Africa. So how is it that, a large festival, in South America hasn't had an African artist? And it's been running for 10 years.
Because I guess mostly because of the costs. But we are totally connected through music and through our gastronomy and lots of other things. But we had some artists from different countries of Africa that collaborated with Brazilian artists and that are doing things together. Like Titica from Angola, she's a kuduro singer, and she did a collab with Baiana System, it's a band from Bahia, and they had a music together, and she has been there, I guess, 4 or 5 times, and now she has a booker in Brazil that is organizing her to be in different kinds of festivals over there.
But she's Portuguese speaking.
She's a Portuguese speaker. But we have the Afrobeat and Afro Jazz. Both of them are huge in Brazil. We love it, and there are bands doing these sounds in Brazil, but we also have some bands from different countries of Africa, mostly Nigeria and Ethiopia, I guess, performing over there. But since it's so expensive, most of the festivals can afford it, to have them there.
To have them.
Yeah, and for Sing, we always look for partnerships with government institutions. So they can fund this cultural exchange. Perfect, thank you. So in that way we can do this. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Walter, Brian, what I'm hearing right now is there is a market.
Yeah.
You're an artist manager.
Yeah.
Peter as well, you're an artist manager. I'm an artist manager. When I'm listening, there's a platform here. This is a market that, of course, I'm sure you want your artists to get into, and you're hearing, okay, fine, these are the challenges we're facing, not being able to have artists from Africa here. What does that now tell you? Like, what strategy do we have to get in there as a manager?
For African artists
Yes.
to get out?
You have an artist in Zimbabwe,
Yes.
You're listening, all right, this is a big one. We have 22,000 artists who register. It's big with, fabulous music, 10 years in the making. South America never had an African artist except, Angola.
This meeting is the first step.
Yeah.
So
For instance, if I take off my hat as the festival director and I put on the manager's hat.
Yeah.
So I want to get my artist to Brazil. I'm in Zimbabwe. I've read about it, overheard about the festival. What I would do, the first thing is I'll probably approach the Brazilian embassy and say, hey, we are interested to go to Brazil on such and such a date to perform at this festival. We are about to email them and ask them and apply and whatever. Would you be able to, assist us to get there, or speak to also our government? And between the embassy and the Zimbabwean government, what can they do between the two of them to get us to this festival? So by the time I email her, I already have the endorsement of her embassy and the endorsement of my government with, I don't know what you guys have. I met a gentleman from Permanent Secretary. Yes. Maybe that organization or something like that. You are affiliated to that organization. So it's really, really important to be able to network within your own country with people that can now help you with the communication with her. So now when I email and I tell her, okay, this is who I am, I'm representing artist A, this is our videos, this is our profile, I've already spoken to Ambassador so-and-so, he has seen us perform here in Zimbabwe, and you can check with him. It's already done. By the time she sees that, it's already, there's already endorsement that is not going to make her doubt and think, who is this person? I would say, so most of the times what happens is with artists, because you're an artist, you may think you're big in Kenya. Because you're big in Kenya, you think people in Brazil know you. But they don't know you. They're not your fans. So you may think, why should I make an effort? Because, I'm a big artist here, or I'm blowing up on your radio station, But the world is huge. Kenya is just this. Zimbabwe is just this. Brazil also. You want to reach out and do that. So you want to be able to realize that, yes, you could be blowing up in Kenya, but there's bigger things that you could be doing, and there's bigger markets you could explore. And like you said, Africa is one of their target market in the numbers. Because we've got the numbers. So the guys in Brazil and the guys in Sweden are wanting to come here. And they're wanting to be able to collaborate, wanting to do work with us as Africans. But I don't think we're doing enough to reach out there. But reaching out as an organized manager or as an organized artist, we're not doing enough. If we do a lot, you can get to the festivals. If you do what's required.
All right, so what I'm hearing is, one, there has to be a lot of collaborations. It's sort of a bridge to get you to where you're going. If you're trying to get into Sweden, the best way to do that is to find a Swedish artist to work with. Two, understand the market that you're going into. If you go to a country that is, they're predominantly country music, and you're a hip-hop artist, and you're applying for if it's a country festival, chances are you're just disappointing yourself. So know who you're targeting. Your partnerships, which is, I feel like we're repeating everything we spoke about last year, but it's important because these are the core. It's nothing new. The partnerships that you have, I want to go there. I want to go to Brazil. I want to go to Sweden. Who should I target as a partner to be able to reach out to them? Which now brings me to my point, which is why I saved you towards the end of it.
Best for last?
Yeah. Okay. So because now we're talking, now we've talked international, right? But then we're hearing the problems. Artists are not reaching out. Artists are, probably sending the wrong EPK. They don't have the right videos out there. do we start with the established artists? Because that's usually the thinking with artists, that I have to first grow my brand down here before I can get to festival levels. And I'm hearing Walter saying, look, you might think you're big in Kenya, but you ain't. You know, you're in big out there. So that means it's free for all. What would you advise an artist if they're like, because now you're working towards 12 months, you know, next year. What would you advise an artist right now to start doing?
Look, I think like just to add on to what Walter said, I mean, to add to you might think you're big in Kenya, you might think you're big in your head. Yeah. Okay, and there's a big world outside of that, and like there's a thing that we really have to engage and we need to scratch beneath the surface and talk about it. And what I'm getting from all of this is a lack of humility. Okay, there's a lack of, and I think you need to sort of learn to come, first of all, walk in the room and say, thank you, ONGEA, for putting this thing on for us, you know, and then start talking to people and saying, you know what, look, this is where I'm at. I've done 2 or 3 things. What do I do? Like, you've got this gigantic festival, like, what do I do? And then don't think, like, when ONGEA or something like Tandawazi showcases you up here, don't think that they're making money off you. They're creating a platform for you to make money.
I feel like you should repeat that again.
You need to understand as young artists, and I get it. I understand that you might think that way because of all the stuff that goes on in Kenya, Africa. But don't think that a platform like ONGEA or Tandawazi is here to make money from you. We are creating a platform for you to make money and be connected internationally and to enjoy your artistic life. That's why these festivals exist, okay? So I think that's the one thing that, it's humility. I'm going to give you an example. I think this is very important just for you to understand why you've only met one band, yeah? Or 2, you know what I mean, over the 3 or 4 days, yeah? I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Dung Chak, okay? So Dung Chak is the drumming brand within our festival. Okay, so for a couple of months before the festival, I go around and I go to shows and I know some drummers, I meet new ones and I say, hey guys, there's this amazing drummer coming all the way from Wales and he's very versed in Brazilian rhythms and Cuban rhythms, and that is something that we don't play, so you need to come to this workshop. Yeah. It's free. I can tell you one example. I was at The Alchemist, and I went to this one guy and I said, hey man, great set. There's this thing happening, it's called Dung Chak, it's for you. Okay, and you as the drumming community need to embrace this thing, come, welcome the drummer, come to the workshop, and then create collaborations, because this guy's going to festivals, he knows people all over the world, yeah? You know what I was asked, huh?
How much?
Yeah, kuna cafe?
Yeah.
Kuna kachakula?
Yeah.
I was asked, basically I was told, will you pay me to come to class?
Is when I will come.
Is when I'm going to come to class.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And so I think that when we get past that, all of us as artists, yeah, is when you'll find that there's going to be a constant stream into São Paulo, into Sweden, into the Jacaranda Festival, into Malawi, for the Lake of Stars, you know? But there's still this thing of like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm big in my head.
Yeah, you have to pay me. So I'm just going to invite the audience to ask us any questions, but I just want to add on to what Brian has said, and this is also a challenge I get with Industry Night. It is a platform. In fact, you should have seen the face Walter gave me when I told him what I do. I was like, we do all these artists, basically producing you so that you can be able to even have a conversation with any other promoter. And one of my biggest challenges is, we'll book an artist, they will show interest, and then when we start promoting the event and they see all the networks that we're pulling in, they start to ask for money. Yeah. And they don't realize that all the training that we're giving them is invaluable. It's like going to university in 3 weeks. So I hope, not to sound rude, but I hope at this point, especially the ones who are still in the audience, that we've now, seen an international scope of things, right?
Sheila, can I just say something? Because I find that sometimes it's important to explain something out of the arena of art for someone to understand, if that makes sense. Yeah?
Go ahead.
Go out of the subject, you know? I'll keep it short, yeah? Outside of my work as an artist, as a capoeirista, as a teacher, etc., I run a catering company, okay? We're 10 years old now, we do very well, we do a lot of corporate work, we do these gigantic weddings, we had one for 1,000 people yesterday, that kind of thing. It's good work, you know, it keeps the lights on, yeah? Capoeira doesn't, all right? And just something for the young people in the crowd to understand, do you know when the business took off? The business took off when I did something for free in the Tribe Hotel for the business elite of Kenya. I'll just say it again, I did it for free for the business elite in Tribe Hotel for the elite of Kenya. The wife of the financial controller of Safaricom was in that function, and she was also a part of the South African Women's Association. And we've had business ever since that day, and that's 10 years.
So you made an investment in yourself.
Could you say it again?
You made an investment in yourself, which is literally what we are consistently trying to help artists understand, that if you don't have a network, you have nothing to stand on. Yeah? All right, I'm going to invite, are you guys cool with questions? Okay, cool.
I just want to say that I'm very grateful for being here.
Yeah. And I'm super grateful. And I want to thank ONGEA. The thing that's coming out, sorry, I feel like sneezing. The thing that's coming out here is, look, ONGEA have set this fantastic platform for artists. There's been, I've been here Friday, I was here Thursday, I brought artists to showcase as well. And it's disappointing that the delegates who've come through from different countries have only had, you're talking about the same band, right?
Same band.
They came all the way, invested, time was invested, ONGEA have invested this. And, you know, and then ONGEA were like, what should we call the summit? We should call it, you know, music. No, we should be straightforward. And they said, let's call it ONGEA, so they know it's about talking to each other. And still people did not talk to each other. So you get where the problems begin. Maybe the artist came in here not understanding what, you know, what is available to you. So hopefully next time we do much better, but like right now, let's get some questions. Where's that microphone?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Yeah, my name is Amin Virani Elchi, and 2011 was the last time I went to a festival with artists from Kenya. We went with Lele Lele Africa to Sauti za Buzara in Zanzibar. Now I heard some things that were said here and they're related to what I'm about to say. So I took the band, I went to the market, bought clothes, paid for the visa, paid for the passports, the temporary passes, paid for everything. And then we went to Zanzibar and we performed. And then after the performance, we had a per diem. It's not a salary. And I had an agreement with everybody in the band. I said, listen, even the per diem, whatever comes, when that money comes down here, first of all, I have to remove the expenses I gave to bring you guys here. And there was a small fight in that hotel room. And it was my last time that I dealt with artists. I also deal with, I was also at that time producing the National Folk Dancers Association artists. It's called Kibende in a local language. Basically, these are artists who play folk music. We're using only non-electronic instruments because, you know, in the villages out there, maybe electricity could be an issue. And I would want them to come here because you say that only 1 or 2 bands came here. And these guys, there's about 20 or 30 groups. They're now even on WhatsApp and all that. And they can't come here because of the thing that Brian Owango said when it's like, oh, they were like, hey, is there a bus fare? And it's a genuine thing. They can't afford bus fare. They live in Nairobi. They can't afford bus fare to come here to Westlands. Now I'm talking about, there's a reality in Africa. If you, any one of you, travel 30 kilometers from this destination in any direction you want, that reality changes drastically. It's not 4G network. It's not all of this. It's 30 kilometers from where we're standing right now, in the direction you please. And I want, like, maybe challenge myself, because this year, after 9, 10 years, I'm coming to do art again, so I came here to educate myself on current trends. And I think one of the things that I would like to do going forward is to go back to those artists and form new ways to make this bridge. Because, no, my friend, there's more than 2 artist bands in Kenya. I assure you that. You can take that to the bank. And yes, Brian, some of them can't afford to come here. Those things are real you're talking about. And maybe we find solutions towards that so that our own artists here in Africa, here in Kenya, can access all of these quality networks, quality performance stages that they can, if they just presented themselves. Remember, coming on time is half the job. And for those who can't come, you know, there's no job. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Guys, I'm going to take one more question, and then we're just going to wrap up because we are so pressed for time.
Okay, first, I just want to thank ONGEA for this summit. It's really mind-blowing, you know? Yeah. When you think about it, you're an artist trying to actually start a career. It's hard. When you get here, that's when, okay, this is how I can actually go about this. So to my first question, I just have two, which are married together. So the first one is, do I need a huge following on my live videos in like the ad-supported sites? Yeah, oh, okay.
No.
Okay, I've got it there.
No.
Okay, so like, okay, so that is good.
I just want to reaffirm that. I think we mentioned it. You don't have to be an established, you can go and perform at Live Heart before Sauti Soul performs there.
And that view might be my booker seeing your video. That's the only view that's needed. It's like we don't care about the numbers. No. If you have 20 million streams on Spotify, I don't care. It's not that. If you're 200, I don't care. If you're good, I care.
Okay, that is.
Is it different for your established? Is it different for yours? Is it different for yours?
No, the same. It's the same.
It's exactly
it can
the same.
be even a secret video.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You could be your only audience.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds nice because it's quite expensive to create a following. Like in the past, you could have just had managers to push your music to the sites, to TV, but now like
I think the people that are interested in numbers are like radio stations.
Yeah,
like
this is the typical manager.
For us, it doesn't really.
And also concerts,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you know we're looking at numbers and we're trying to sell gate tickets. But
Yeah, exactly.
festivals
are
showcases
different.
are different.
Yeah.
so the second question is, you have selected me for a festival. What are the logistical issues, like in terms of especially money? Like what part do I need to play as an artist to get there? And what do you play as now the organizers of that festival? Yeah, those are two important things.
All right, so I'm going to allow each and every one of you to say their specifications of what do you cater for?
Okay, first of all, my brother in blue, I don't know, my brother. If there's an artist that's looking for a manager, that's your guy.
That's your guy.
that there is a manager. That's actually a very good manager.
Yes.
So he's passionate about music. I can tell. He's put money into an artist, and he was burnt, but he's still here.
Came back.
Exactly. Artist managers are very difficult to find. People that want to push artists, but they're not artists themselves, are difficult to find. But I can actually identify that that's a very good, potential good artist manager. Well done to you, my brother.
Good job.
Appreciate it. And thanks to ONGEA, you know, I'm really seeing some really amazing things. But again, to answer your question, thank you, ONGEA. What happens is if I book an artist, if I choose an artist today from Kenya, I'm paying for everything. And that's what they have negotiated with us. That's what ONGEA has done for you guys. So it means you do nothing. So at the end of the day, it's another lost opportunity. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's with this particular summit and this particular conference. So if I choose you, you come in, you perform, and I choose you, everything is covered. Flights, food, everything. So that's with my festival, with his festival, with that festival, that's the opportunity that there is. But I feel that a lot of artists have wasted that opportunity. Yeah. So it depends, again, to go back to what my brother mentioned earlier on with that other festival that he went to. They required him to pay for visas. It depends which festival. Some festivals will pay for your visas. Some festival will pay for your flights. Some festival won't. It just depends.
Walter, sorry. Does your websites, do all your websites say
the requirements?
What the requirements are, what they will do?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I know there's a lot of artists in the building. I'd love to take your question, but I think now you just need to do it on a one-on-one basis because there's another session that's about to start. Thank you so much, guys, for coming through, and I hope you've learned. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. They've done a fantastic job, and...
No, I just want to ask, does anyone here know a Brazilian artist? Besides him? Yeah? No, because I have I have some CDs here that I would like to give to someone who knows Brazilian music or wants to know more about.
All right. So make sure you come connect. This is what this space is for. You have a few hours before it's over. And luckily for you, you got this juice before the show was over. I've been your host, Kwamboka, and No, of course.
The guy is very super short, and this ties into what my brother Amin was saying. As from this year, Easter at Tandawazi, there is nothing for free anymore. Nothing for free. We're going to charge for all the workshops across the board, even if it's 100 shillings. Yeah. Even if it's 100 shillings, so that when a group from 30 kilometers away says, listen, I have 500 shillings, I need 300 for my fare, I can go here, okay? I'm going to give you 300 shillings so you can make it here every day. I'll give you 1,200 shillings for 4 days, okay? And the second reason why that's very important is that when you grow as an artist, I don't want to ask you to do something for free. I want people to get used to paying for you, even if it's 200 shillings now. So that when you turn up and you say, look, yeah, my fee is $20,000, they're like, yeah, well, I've been paying for him for years, so thank you very much.